Somewhere at the edge of known space, one human cadet sat alone in a station full of aliens who wouldn't even look at her. No backup, no friends, no hope. Every species in the galaxy had given up on humanity except one. When the distress signal finally reached Earth, nobody expected an answer. But 3 days later, a single ship broke through the void, carrying one man and one impossible promise. Humanity never leaves its own behind. What happened next would make the entire universe go silent. Not even once. Cadet Maya Reyes had been stationed on Kestrel Outpost for 11 months, and in all that time, not one alien on that station had ever called her by name. They called her the Human. Sometimes worse, Kestrel Outpost sat on the edge of the perimeter zone, a trading post crawling with a dozen different species of the tall, silver-skinned Vondairi, the clicking, insect-like Threx, the cold and calculating Sarn collective. Humanity had only joined the Galactic Compact 5 years back, and most of the galaxy still treated Earth like the new kid who showed up late to the party and tracked mud on the carpet. Maya ate alone in the mess hall. She trained alone in the gym. She stood her watch shifts alone, staring out at the black, wondering if she'd made a mistake signing up for this. "You people are so fragile," a Vandari officer told her once, not even bothering to lower his voice. "No claws, no venom, no shell. It's a miracle your species survived this long." She didn't argue. What was the point? Out here, humans were tolerated, not respected. Second-class crew on a station that ran on alliances she wasn't invited to. Then, on a gray Tuesday shift if you could call anything Tuesday this far from home everything changed. A Sarn raiding fleet dropped out of warp on Kestrel's doorstep. 3 cruisers, guns hot, demanding the station's cargo and every alien aboard as leverage. The station commander, a Threx named Vesic, tried diplomacy first. The Sarn answered with a warning shot that took out half the docking ring. Panic tore through the station. Aliens who had ignored Maya for 11 months were suddenly screaming for anyone with a plan. Maya ran straight to the comms room and slammed her palm on the emergency beacon. "This is Kestrel Outpost, requesting immediate compact assistance. We are under hostile fire. Repeat, under hostile fire." The compact channel stayed silent. Nobody was close enough. Nobody was coming, except she sent one more signal a private one, on a frequency she wasn't even sure still worked. A frequency straight back to Earth. She didn't expect an answer. Not really. Earth was too far, too small, too new to this game. But somewhere, deep in the dark, that signal kept traveling. 3 days. That's how long the Sarn fleet gave Kestrel Outpost before they said they'd stop asking nicely. 3 days of aliens barricading themselves in cargo bays, of Vesic pacing the command deck like a caged animal, of Maya running triage in a med bay that was never built for this much fear. Then, on the 3rd day, Earth answered. Not with a battleship. Just one small transport ship beat up and dented, dropping out of warp like it had somewhere better to be. "That's it," the Vandari officer scoffed, watching the sensor feed. "Earth sent one ship? One?" The ship docked without asking permission. The airlock hissed open, and out stepped a single man in a scuffed flight jacket, duffel bag over one shoulder, like he'd just wandered off a job site instead of crossing half the galaxy. "Name's Jake Reyes," he said, scanning the panicked crowd until his eyes landed on Maya. "Heard somebody sent in sauce." "You're it?" Vesic demanded. "One man?" Jake shrugged. "Where I'm from, one's usually enough. Y'all got a problem, or we just gonna stand here jawing while those Sarn ships get comfortable?" Maya almost laughed. Almost. It was the first time in 11 months someone had walked onto this station and talked to her like she wasn't invisible. "They want the cargo," she said, "and hostages. They've got 3 cruisers." "3," Jake repeated, cracking his knuckles like he'd just been told the odds were finally fair. "All right, let's get to work." He didn't ask for the station's defense codes. He didn't ask for a committee vote. He walked straight to the tactical display, looked at the layout for exactly 10 seconds, and started giving orders like he'd built the place himself. "Vesic, right? Get your people rigging the cargo bay doors to blow outward on my mark. Maya, you're with me I need someone who actually knows this station's blind spots." "You're just gonna trust her?" the Vandari officer snapped. "She's a rookie." Jake didn't even turn around. "She's the only one who sent that signal instead of hiding. That's who I trust." For the first time in 11 months, Maya stood a little taller. The Sarn fleet made their move at 0400 station time, cruisers locking weapons on the docking ring, broadcasting the same ultimatum on repeat. Jake wasn't listening to the broadcast. He was already moving. "Here's the deal," he told Maya as they sprinted through the maintenance corridors. Sarn ships run on centralized targeting Euros. One brain, three bodies. Take out their command cruiser's targeting array, the other two go blind for 90 seconds. That's our window. 90 seconds to do what? Everything. They reached the old shuttle bay, where Jake had already rigged Kestrel's single remaining fighter Euros, a museum piece nobody had bothered decommissioning Euros, with whatever scraps of tech he'd hauled off his transport ship. "You're not seriously flying that," Maya said. "Darlin', I flew worse than this back on training runs over the Rockies." He grinned, climbing into the cockpit. "Get to the cargo bay. When those doors blow, that's your cue to get everybody moving toward the escape pods. And you? I'm gonna go make some noise." The fighter screamed out of the bay and straight at the lead Sarn cruiser Euro. No fear, no hesitation, just pure nerve. Sarn weapons fire lit up the black, missing him by inches as he weaved through their firing solutions like he'd memorized the pattern before they'd even fired. He punched a torpedo straight into the cruiser's targeting array. The explosion lit up the void like a second sun. Just like that, the other two cruisers went dark, blind, and confused, exactly like he said. Back on the station, Maya didn't waste the window. "Cargo doors, now." The doors blew outward, sending a decompression wave that sent Sarn boarding pods tumbling off course. Vesik's crew scrambled the last of Kestrel's people into escape pods, and for 90 seconds, the whole station moved like it finally had a reason to fight instead of hide. Jake's fighter took a hit on the way back, spiraling hard, but he wrestled it through the docking clamp with smoke pouring off the hull. The remaining Sarn ships, blind and leaderless, retreated into warp rather than face whatever kind of madman had just torn their command ship apart with a museum piece and a bad attitude. Kestrel Outpost was still standing. Barely. But standing. When the smoke cleared, the station fell quiet Euros. Not the cold, ignoring quiet Maya had lived with for 11 months, but a different kind. A stunned kind. Every alien on Kestrel Outpost had watched one human, in a fighter older than most of their grandparents, take down a warship with nothing but nerve and know-how. Vesik was the first to speak, voice low with something Maya had never heard from him before: respect. One ship, one man. He asked for nothing, and he saved us all. The Vondari officer who'd mocked Maya for months stood at the edge of the crowd, silent, staring at Jake like he was trying to rewrite everything he thought he knew about humans. Jake climbed out of the smoking fighter, favoring one leg, jacket torn at the shoulder. He looked around at the crowd of aliens staring at him like he'd fallen out of a legend, and just shrugged. "Y'all act like you never seen a guy fly a junker into a warship before." Maya reached him first, half laughing, half in disbelief. "You could have died out there." "Nah," he said, waving it off like it was nothing. "Earth doesn't send its people out here to die, cadet. We send 'em to finish the job." That word cadet landed different this time. Not the way the aliens spat it, the way it was supposed to sound. Word of what happened at Kestrel Outpost spread through the compact within days. Not because Earth broadcast it humanity never bragged but because every species that heard the story couldn't stop repeating it. One human ship, 3 enemy cruisers, 0 hesitation. The Vondari officer who once called humans fragile approached Maya before she shipped out for her next post. He didn't apologize, not exactly. He just said quietly, "Your species is unexpected." Maya smiled. "You have no idea." Jake didn't stick around for medals or parades. That wasn't the mission. He shook Maya's hand at the airlock, told her to keep her head up and her signal strong, because next time Earth might not need to send anyone Euros because she'd already have it handled herself. As his ship pulled away from Kestrel Outpost, disappearing back into the dark toward home, the station that once treated her like she was invisible now watched her with something new in their eyes. Maya Reyes wasn't the loneliest cadet in the universe anymore. She was proof of exactly what humanity could do when it showed up. And somewhere out there, in the endless black, the rest of the galaxy quietly started paying attention.